Good morning and welcome to the governing body of the Library District Board. Can't even get it started off this morning. So we're going to call this meeting to order, and I've asked Gil to lead us in our invocation. And Commissioner Kennard, would you like to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance this morning?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Lord, thank you so much for another day here in Citrus County. Just thanks for all your blessings. Thank you for the people who work hard for us. And I want to thank you that the country seems to be turning a corner and we're becoming more aware of what we really need to do as citizens and as patriots. So guide this meeting. Please make some great decisions. And please guide and protect everyone and help them understand what your will is for us and for our county. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please do the roll call?
Yes, ma'am. This is a meeting of the governing body of the Special Library District of Citrus County Board of this 11th day of February 2025. In attendance are, excuse me, get a frog. Chair Rebecca Bays, First Vice Chair Diana Finnegan, Second Vice Chair Janet Barrick, Commissioner Jeff Kennard, Commissioner Holly Davis, Inverness City Councilwoman Crystal Lizanich, and County Administrator Steve Howard, and County Attorney Denise A. Diamond-Lynn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on our agenda this morning is the approval of the minutes. I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Finnegan and a second by Commissioner Barrick. Is there any further board comment?
Can I have a moment after open to the public?
Sure. You mean before open to the public?
After.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is open to the public. However, I just want to send a reminder to tell you that after we make nominations, you will have an opportunity to come speak regarding the nominations. So if you want to wait till that point to make your comments, just giving you that opportunity. You know, I do want to say this. I received many emails and phone calls. But our board in this community reflects a wide range of perspectives. And this means that we must work harder to find common ground. And that we must listen to each other with respect. And by doing so, we can strengthen our community bonds. And if we focus on what unites us rather than what divides us, despite our differences, we can come together for the common good and leave a legacy for future generations. I know this is going to be a highly charged meeting with lots of opinions, but I hope that as a community, let's focus on how we unite one another and the good in our county. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to open it to the public. Would anybody would like to address the board? You will have 3 minutes and give us your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Paul Gerlitz, and I live at 8301 East Fairway Loop. And I would stay till later, but I can't. I have to go. So I would like to encourage the board, and your speech was wonderful. The library is a great place. The library has a historic common place in most communities, and it's a wonderful thing where it can provide education and a safe place for people. So I would just like to encourage the board to appoint board members that have values that are in line with the bulk of the community, and they're going to be helpful and to society and to build good things. more on the conservative side, and the other side has a right to all their things, and we understand that. But if we want to build strong families in this community that are multi-generational, it needs to have good core family values. And I would just encourage you to vote for, or to appoint people that are in line with those values. That's all.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Next, please. Oh,
Sorry, thank you. Name is Riss Campbell, 5535 West Bungalow Court, Crystal River. I just want to thank everybody here for holding this, that we can have our freedoms to express ourselves. I have my young kids with me, so I have to be quick. I'm a full-time stay-at-home dad. I am also fully employed at the same time, working late nights for Verizon, so I do a lot of work. My time is always busy, but we always are finding ourselves with the learning in the books and what the library has to offer. My wife goes and, you know, she works at the school district, but she also takes my son to help him tutor and also learn and looking at new books. And we take our younger kids too. And like after the Super Bowl, my wife and I spent a whole hour just talking about the books that we've been reading recently. So it's something that we come together, not just as a family, but I think as a community. I know, like for her, she talks to a lot of people who are reading some of the same books. It's not really a book club, but I just look at it as, you know, something that I want to inspire my kids to learn and to read and to have that joy. I remember going to the library as a child myself, and just what my parents instilled in me. And my grandfather, he just passed away last year, but every time I saw him, he had a book in his hand. So those are just things that I look at, and he even gave me books and said, hey, read this. And I still have a long list of books I haven't been able to read from him. But I just look forward to this. I did put an application in for the library board, and I look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Jeffrey Burke. I'm a business owner here in the city of Inverness. I live at 320 Wilda Avenue, Inverness, Florida, 34452. I also am pastor of a local church, which has a private school with 300 students. I was a volunteer in my high school library growing up, and the library is a special place to me. And I've really tried to think about this from all angles. I'm a conservative, but I have some of the nearest, dearest people in my life probably believe the opposite than I do on this issue. I think, you know, I'm glad we live in a country where we have the freedom to read whatever we want. Because I have a friend that came from China, and they had the Bible in the university in China listed under American pornographic literature. And he had to go through a lot of red tape to even get a copy of the Bible to do college assignments. But I just want to say today, I think let the adults read whatever they want to read. They're going to anyway. And I think, but when it comes to minors, we need to protect the minors. You know, my daughter attended Citrus High School, and she's been out of school many years now. But she was actively being recruited by a teacher that was of the LGBTQ opinion of things, and pretty aggressively. And books that were in favor of that were pushed to her. I think we need to protect the minors. That teacher's now retired from Citrus County Schools. Like I say, I administer a private school with 300 students. There's probably over 2,000 students in the county that take their kids to private school because there's some ideas and things that they don't want them exposed to as minors. And then there's many conservatives, probably another several thousand in the public schools that are also conservatives that do not want their children exposed to this. So I just think, I think that we need to protect the minors from this information, from this material. And I appreciate the opportunity to give an opinion on this. Thank you.
Next. Can you please put the sign down? Thank you.
I am the single mother of a son.
Name and address, please.
I'm sorry, Margaret Martis, 8430 East Cresco Lane, Inverness, Florida, 34450. I am the mother, a single mother of a little boy that was beat up severely and needed to go to the hospital because of a concussion, because he asked a little boy why he was wearing a dress. And whenever I'm available, I will continue to come to this meeting and continue to say the same story. With that being said, I would like to remove Dale Gillum, Sanders, Terry Morriston, and Rebecca Beatty from the library board. And I would like to keep Elaine Clade, Justin Strickland, and I want to nominate John Liberola to also serve on the board. And I'm going into work late just to show up today. I think we need to put conservatives back into the positions that the children are involved in. It's always better when you have God on your side. Without God, you're nothing, and God disagrees with the LGBTQ LMNOP agenda. And I just want to speak my mind on that. And that's basically all I need to say about the library board. But I also want to add a little side note. Coming out of Country Club Drive, turning right onto Sandpiper Road, when you look to the left, there's bushes obstructing the view of oncoming traffic. So you have to edge all the way up almost into traffic to see the cars coming through. I think those bushes should be cut back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the public?
Yes.
Good morning.
My name is Roberta Schoaf, 8430 East Cresco Lane, Inverness. And I'm here to speak about the Library Advisory Board. I think we need a new board, and we need to keep Elaine Cleed, Justin Strickland on the board, and I'm nominating John Liberola, but we definitely need to remove the liberal activists applications, and we need to remove Dave Gilliam Saunders, Terry Morriston, and Rebecca Beatty, because I think we'll get a much better board with new people on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name's Greg Hoing, Floral City. And all I wanted to say concerning the library board is we need to maintain balance on the board. There has been an ongoing fight against the liberal agenda on the library board. So we need to think about what that means, you know, if the library board is all or the majority of one side of the political spectrum or the other. It doesn't adhere to what the citizens of Citrus County deserve. So I would just like all of you to consider this, and I encourage you to keep balance and vote in the more conservative applicants. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, please.
Good morning again. You softened my heart a little bit this morning, Rebecca, because I know I'm not your favorite guy to come up here, so thank you for reaching out. You know, I went to an orphanage when I was a kid, and we had guys from, it was all boys, and I look back on how we were taught, and this stuff that I'm seeing today is just so foreign. I mean, I think back, we didn't even know Liberace was gay, right? So it's like we've come a long way in what children are exposed to. But it's been a fantastic 3 weeks. You know, we did recognize the fact that there are only two genders. We've always known that, but now we won't be forced to pretend that something's different along with these mentally ill people. You know, they need some help, I guess, but we don't have to agree with that. Other things has happened. The queer flags are out. The trannies are out. Child mutilation. Thank God that's out. The diversity BS, that's out. You know, there's what they call the woke mind virus, and it's definitely infected some of these boards. And now we have 3 people that are seeking positions on the advisory board who haven't got the hint that we're sick and tired of this stuff. You know, sexualizing children, and I've said this before, sexualizing children is what pedophiles and perverts do. It has nothing to do with liberal or conservative. You know, it's what's right and what's wrong for our children. You know, I have to wonder, why are these people still trying to get on the board and they insist on sexualizing, grooming, and perverting our children? Like the book that they have in the library, it's called The History of Pride. Now, this is for 7 to 9-year-olds, and it's all about a drag kid, a model, a social justice activist. It's a kid-friendly primer to queer history and celebrates RuPaul and why children need to fight for queer rights. What is that doing in our library? That's not liberal or conservative, that's sick. And like this book, Julian's a Mermaid. What's it like, maybe a 7-year-old little kid? So this is the grooming part, where, hey, let's have him dress up in a dress. Let's have him put on lipstick, you know, and swim in the water. I think, you know, this is just me, he should be in a wetsuit spearfishing grouper, not dancing around in a girl's dress, okay? And even though you don't pay for an ALA membership, you still follow their perverted system. How could you possibly pick these books by what you call best practice? If you would sit with a child with some of the stuff that I've read before, you'd be arrested, right? And the ultimate height of hypocrisy is that when I read out loud what was in these books that you provide for the children, you know, it's like your hair's on fire, but yet you give it to the kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Good morning, and thank you for being here and for listening to so many citizens. I'd just like to say my name's Rosemary Nillis. I live at 934 Stetson Terrace in Inverness, and I'm really grateful to have such a rich library system. Personally, I want a library system that welcomes all God's children. You have a diverse group of opinions here already. I can't comment on the applicants themselves, but I would just ask you, each when you're considering the applicants, please keep in mind these things. Candidates should be individuals who have already demonstrated that they can unite, not divide. They need to be candidates who are willing and able to put their personal things aside and work for the common good of the community without grinding a particular axe. They need to be able to, as Mr. Rogers says, you need to be able to, as Mr. Rogers said, and my little brothers and my kids grew up listening to it. Look for the helpers. Ask yourselves, which of these people are helpers and which of these people are here to tear down something? On a personal note, I would just also like to add that God loves all people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Good morning.
panel. Glad to be here today. I just got this memo a
Could you
couple
give
days
us your
ago.
name and
so-
address,
I
please?
am. Yeah, Carla Andridge, live at 4805 East Fort End Place, Hernando, Florida. And I second what the woman said before me. It's all about God. Thank God we're turning back to this nation for God and in God. And he loves everybody for sure, you know? And the words can transform, but this diversity that's gone on, well, really about 20 years or more, is tearing us apart. I'm a grandma of 4. I have 2. My oldest one is 9. He's in the schools. And I'm concerned what influences are there for him. I want him to grow up with the values that I grew up with. You know, and I pray that prayer is back in schools and God is acknowledged and people learn about the Bible because it changes in the Word. And, you know, I just second the election, and I know that hope that there's 3 seats available and we find real helpers, you know, with spirit and love for all mankind. Because, yeah, division is horrible, and people that love God find a way, they find a bridge to get along, you know. So thank you very much, and we pray. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I can't see behind the poll. Is anybody else over there that wants to speak? Yeah.
Pleasure to be with you all this morning. I'm Lori Pettengill, 1129 South Candlenut Avenue, Homosassa Springs, beautiful Homosassa Springs, Florida. As I tell my mother, Mom, you need to love the sinner. Jesus loved the sinner, but he didn't love the sin. And then that's just, I don't know. God does love all his children. He loves us all. I come before you to recommend Justin Strickland, Elaine Clyde, Elaine, a very good friend actually, and John Labriola, another good friend, as board members of the Citrus County Library System. Patrick Strickland, because he has an understanding of the Bible, the book of instruction of better living for everyone. If someone can understand the Bible and knows it inside and out and get up there and talk about it, I'm all for that person because they have a great grasp of reality. Elaine Clyde, because she is a gift to the board. She's a writer, publisher, has tech skills that are fantastic. I just love her. She's perfect for the position. John Labriola, he's a very good friend. He's unable to be here because he's in Tallahassee right now. He's unable to be here to support his desire to be a Citrus County Library Board member. John is an avid reader. He loves the library system. He rejects revisionist history and false teaching. He is a true fighter for the protection of children, of children's innocence. John has worn the armor and came out of the flames victorious. Parents countrywide and countywide spoke in the last election for a return to a healthy, organic, and natural ideology and for truth. Once you know truth, the rest is just fantasy, like a fiction novel. Let's move forward as a county to meet these goals within its library system with these 3 board members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Glenn Hagenbach. I live at 1777 West Twilight Lane in Hernando. And listening to this discussion about the library, I've been doing a lot of research about Benjamin Franklin, who created our first public library system. Benjamin Franklin supported every church in Philadelphia, including the synagogue, but he never adhered to any of their dogmas. So people accused him of being a deist, which he would have been except he didn't adhere to their dogma either. His basic view was there is a God who's creator of the world that we should worship, but we do our best service to God by doing good service to our fellow man. He also believed in the absolute necessity, in order to do good to our fellow man, the necessity for morals and virtues, something he struggled with all his life and worked very hard to master, which he even admitted was somewhat of a failed enterprise. But he said that a year before his death, he was asked point blank if he believed in God and the divinity of Christ. And he said, I've always believed there is a God. And as I said, we should worship him and do service to our fellow man. As for the teachings of Jesus, I think they are some of the best, if not the best, ever given to mankind. As for the divinity of Christ, I can't give an opinion because I've never studied it, and I'm not about to burden myself with it now since I'm so close to finding out for sure, with far less effort. What's interesting, though, is when he died, a year later, the funeral procession was led by every pastor of every church and synagogue in Philadelphia, and they walked arm in arm, something that would have been unheard of without the influence of Benjamin Franklin. So the promotion of morals and virtues is highly critical to the founding of our country and to the existence of our country. And we have to take a hard look at the trends of the day if they start contrasting the history that our foundation is built on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is Steve Jones. I live at 666 Whispering Pines Court, Inverness. And I'm in favor of John and Elaine and Justin to be appointed to the LAB board. And we as adults, I was just thinking on what I would say. We never want to pass on anything that would affect and impact the minds and the character of our children, our grandchildren, and even our great-grandchildren in time to come. I would never want to poison or pollute the minds of our youth. They're so susceptible at those young ages and even as teenagers, and so we want to protect them. Now, public libraries are no place for the explicit LBG material. And I'm asking for just common sense on this, for appointments, and most of all, for our youth, because they matter. Our children and your children, they matter. And so I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your attention. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? If not, I'm going to close open to the public, and I'm going to ask Andy or Eric to come up and give us a little overview. Yes.
I think the councilwoman wanted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot.
Oh, it's off, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I am happy to see the community come out in support of the library. I wanted to also thank everyone who spoke. And I would like to make a motion, if that is okay.
I would like to have Andy come up first and talk a little bit about the library and the services, if you don't mind.
Yep, that's fine.
Andy?
Thank you. Adam Chang,
Adam,
Library Services Director. So Chair, as requested, just a brief overview of the board and kind of what they're, what they do. So the board was established in 1987, and the board reviews the library services budget, policies, services, and other pertinent matters. And with that, the board acts only in an advisory capacity, and they make recommendations that eventually come to the Board of County Commissioners. So what that looks like for us, or has looked like for us in the past couple years that I've been library director, is with the budget. So we give the Library Advisory Board a copy of the budget, sort of in its draft form. They independently review that. Then at a meeting later in the year, at one of their scheduled meetings, I review the budget with them sort of line by line and answering any questions that they may have. Beyond that, once they've done that, they will make a recommendation to approve that budget, or if they have any questions, concerns, or want any adjustments, they'll also state those concerns at that time. They also look at the policy. They don't set the policy, but they review the policy with us. From time to time, we take a look at the policy, whether that's initiated by us at the library, or if the county wants us to take a look at that, we will take a look at the policy and review that with the board. Or if the board would wish to look at a policy, we also will look at it with them as well. If they want to recommend any changes, we'll take those changes and we'll look and see what we can do with those. We pass those on to county legal if there are any changes that we see fit that might work. And then those get reviewed by this board as well if there's any policy changes.
So you recently changed the age of young adult reading, is that correct?
We did, yes.
And can you tell us how that came about and what the ages are now?
Sure. There was a concern from many citizens, as well as the board and some staff as well, that the age range wasn't as clearly defined as it should be for the young adult specifically. A lot of that is based on reading level. So that had started around, from the publisher's perspective, about 12 years old. Majority of people saw that the content in those books was leaning towards more the mature side. So we made the decision that we would like to move that to 15 to 18. So we made that change. It's not a policy change. It's more just procedural how we categorize materials within the library. So young adult now is 15 to 18.
Commissioner Finnegan?
Mr. Ching, with that change, would people know that? Are there signs that say that in the libraries now, or have books been kind of moved where there's a 12 to 14 section and then a 15, 18? What does that look like? And I'm asking because I know that we're going to get those questions.
Sure. Yes, there is not currently signage in the library to indicate that change. It's a recommended kind of reading level 15 or age range 15 to 18. There isn't a section for 12 to 14. Those materials are in our juvenile section. So with any kind of changes like that, if we added another category, so if we added a 12 to 14, we'd add an entirely new collection and need a new place to house that material. The young adult is separated from the juvenile section in all of our libraries. It's always been in its own area within the building. Many of our libraries have a youth room or youth area that's completely separate, and then the young adult is often over closer to the adult section.
Thank you.
And then just one, and can you tell me about History of Pride? That was brought up. Can you tell me where that book is in the library?
Not specifically offhand, I'm not sure. I can certainly look that up and get that information to
So you
you.
don't know if it's in the young adult or if it's in adult?
Not offhand, I don't know it at this point, but I can certainly take a look and get back to you on which section that is.
Okay, thank you. History of Pride. Commissioner Barrick.
I have a question. When a young adult comes up to check out, the person that checks them out, are they watching for the age of the person checking the book out to make sure that it's not a 13-year-old taking out a book that's for a 15 to 18? And if it is a younger person trying to get out an adult or an age difference book, are they asking for a parent to be there for to give their permission? Because I think one of the biggest safeguards we have to have is when they're checking out the book. It needs to be, if you see a student that's only this high and they're taking a book that's, the wrong age level, that's part of our responsibility to make sure that we are not allowing them, because maybe we are overstepping the bounds of the parents.
Sure. So when you mention kind of how checkouts work, our younger children, 12 and under, they are required to have a parent with them. So if they don't have a parent with them, we're checking to see why is this child in the library by themselves. The older children, if they check out a material, they can check those materials out. It's up to the really what that child and the parent is comfortable with checking out. It's not really entirely staff-led that we say you can check out this material, you can't check out this material. That's a conversation we'd much rather leave to the parents to make that determination on what they can and cannot check out.
So my 13-year-old that's 6 foot tall can check out a book that's for an 18-year-old?
If you let them come to the library by themselves, then yes. Okay. Without setting those parameters. If you tell your child, hey, you can go to the library, you can check out what you want, then they would be able to, yes. But
so there is no real safeguard at that point?
At that age, if you allow your child to come to the library, once they're beyond that 12 age, if you think they're mature enough to be there and make those decisions, then we let them, yes. But that's, again, based on parents' discretion. We don't encourage children to come to the library by themselves.
And then one further comment from myself. So a lot of these books, there's one in all of the school or all of the library systems, and they would have to request that? Is that kind of an accurate statement?
Yes. So if you're referring to some of the books that have been kind of spoken about in the past at some of the meetings and things, then yes, there's typically been one copy of those materials within our libraries, and they're housed at one of our 5 libraries. So, for example, if you went to the Central Ridge Library and you wanted one of those books, and it wasn't at the Central Ridge Library, it was in Homosassa, we could transfer that book over to the Central Ridge Library for you. But they're not sitting on the shelves at all 5 branches. There's probably some at every library, but not the full, every book that you're hearing about isn't at every single library.
And then the books that have been of major controversy, I think you gave us some time back, like the number of times that those books were actually checked out. Do you have any of that information with you?
I don't have that with me today. If there's one in particular or a couple that you're...
I guess the point I'm trying to get at is they were not checked out frequently. Is that correct?
Some were and some were not. There were several that were checked out quite a lot. There were several that were not. But that's also, it's complex in the number of times that a material is checked out. Sometimes it's been checked out in, let's say we only had the book for a year. Maybe it's only checked out twice in that year. Versus if we've had it for 10 years and it's only been checked out twice. So it's also due to how old the book is as well.
All right, thank you. And just for clarification from the board, we're not making a motion, we're going to take nominations. So is there any other discussion by the board? If not, I will open it up to nominations.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate.
I think she
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to.
But she was
Yeah,
first.
she was
I'm
first.
sorry, thank you.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Justin Strickland, Lauren Benfield for reappointment, Katie Myers, and Rebecca Beatty.
Are there any further nominations?
I'll second that.
I have a nomination. To reappoint Lorraine Benefield, Elaine Clyde, Justin Strickland, and Briss Campbell showed up today. And I loved with I'm sorry, I forgot your first name, the woman from the League of Women Voters, all the things that she said about people having an axe to grind. And that gentleman came with his kids, and he did send us an email before. So here is a citizen that we have never seen before, well, I haven't before today, that has reached out for just his love of the library, his concern of children. And I remember from the email that his wife works within the school system. So I would like to nominate him to the board.
Reese Campbell?
I think his name was Rhys.
R-H-Y-S. Commissioner Kennard?
Yeah, I don't see the board agreeing on all nominations as a group. So, I mean, my suggestion would be that maybe we take them one at a time.
I was going to get everybody's nominations out and then close nominations, and then we can go through and discuss them.
Good idea.
All right.
Yep.
Do you have a nomination?
I think the two of the least controversial, I think, nominations would be Justin Strickland and Lorraine Benfield. I think you can fill 2 of the spots right there, I would think. You've got a majority of support on this board, I would think, for those two.
Okay. Do you have any other nominations?
I nominate those two, and let's see where it goes from there.
All right. Commissioner Davis, do you have anything?
I support Lorraine Benefield and Justin Strickland, and I think that Commissioner Finnegan makes a good point about, how do you pronounce it, Reese?
I think he said Riss. Wasn't his name Riss?
Reese or Rice? Campbell? Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Campbell.
Make a good point. I do think that, you know, the current board, I do agree that the balance needs to be heavily weighted towards conservatives. 75% of the current board is Republican. Some of them are moderate Republicans versus hard right Republicans, but I think they're a pretty good representation of the county as a whole. And so I know that Terry Morriston is a hot button for some on the far right, but she is a Republican and she comes from a library background. Becky Beatty is also a staunch Republican and highly intelligent, so she would be a great, and I don't know Katie Myers, although I've heard good things about her. So that's sort of my list, but I definitely am in favor of Lorraine and Justin being reappointed.
All right, so the nominations on the floor are Lorraine Benefield, Blaine Cleed, Justin Strickland, Rebecca Beatty, Mr. Campbell, and Katie Myers. Did I miss anyone?
Were you actually nominating?
No, we're going to close nominations and then have
No, I'm
discussion.
asking, I didn't think you were actually nominating Rebecca Beatty.
She did.
Oh, well, then you know what? If we're gonna throw out people that are causing dissension, I'm gonna nominate John Labriola. I mean, because if you talk about people that you wanna have up here, this board has agreed with the things that have been brought forward by that person than the other. I don't think either one of those two are gonna make it, but, I mean, if we're gonna keep
Okay.
I was trying to keep controversy out, but if we're putting controversy in, let's go all the way.
So we have John Labriola added to that. So seeing nothing else, I'm going to close nominations. Board members, we're going to take them one at a time, go down the list. Lorraine Benefield.
How do you want to do that? Yes?
Yes.
Can we do roll call on, or is there any discussion? What do you suggest?
You might want to have some discussion.
Okay. Oh, and then I'm supposed to open it back to the public, right? On the nominations?
Well, there's actually no motion yet.
Okay.
So you have to decide on,
All right.
you need to get it like a feel for where you're going,
Okay.
and then you can have a motion.
Well, I'm going to throw my 2 cents out there because I am the chair. So I would be perfectly fine with reappointing the 3 that has asked to be reappointed. And then I would tell you, for me, I'm going to just narrow it straight down. I would either Mr. Campbell or Katie Myers. I really don't think that this board needs to be about controversy, and it does not need to be about party lines. We're asking people to step in and make decisions about this board. I will tell you, I do have a little heartburn if a member of the board is asked or required to read materials. I expect them to do that. That to me is not an option. If that's part of what your duties and responsibilities are, then read the book and give some input. But don't give your input if you're not willing to read the book. And that it's been expressed to me that Mrs. Clyde or Cleed refused to read a book and kind of sideswiped everybody. That I don't appreciate. If she wants to take a seat on the board, then, and if she's asked to read the book, then read the book, but don't not read the book and then sideswipe the rest of the board members when they show up. That is a heartburn with me that I'm going to put out there. I will support her renomination though, but I want it on record of my concerns. And then Katie Myers, because I really don't, or Mr. Campbell, I don't see a lot of controversy.
Madam Chair.
I've known Becky Beatty for a very long time and John Labriola, and I think there's a lot of controversy there.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Just listening down here in the end, like Commissioner Kennard, I think it sounds like we could all get behind Lorraine Benefield, Justin Strickland, Katie Myers, and Mr. Campbell. If you want to just narrow it down to nothing controversial because, and people that are in it for the right reasons.
I'm good with that.
I think that, I know you had the heartburn, I didn't know that about Mrs. Clyde, but I think there's a lot of people that have supported her and she's given some years to this board. So I would maybe go for the 3 that's already set on the board and then decide the extra person if you wanted to move it along. Just, I would be willing to make a motion for the 3 to be reappointed and then we could go from there.
Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually do support Holly on this matter. I do think, as you said, you know, they need to read the material if they're, so, yeah, so I actually agree that that is the least controversial and they're there for the right reasons. So I would be in favor for Justin Strickland, Ms. Benfield, Katie Myers, and Mr. Campbell.
Janet?
I've been going back and forth because I looked at it from different perspectives. What background did the person have? Where did they live? How would it, you know, benefit the board by having the variety? I agree Strickland, Benefield. I do like Myers and I do like Campbell. So that's the 4 I would go with.
All right, we're moving along.
Madam
How
Chair?
about you? Just one moment,
Okay.
I'm looking at the other end of the dais down here.
Well, it sounds like, again, I'll go back to Justin and Lorraine have, if not unanimous support, I think they have majority support. Mr. Campbell was impressive showing up here today as well as his resume, and it sounds like Katie Myers has significant support on the board. I don't know that it's unanimous, but I think we've got 4 good nominees there, or appointments for this board.
So we're marking out at this point John Labriola and Rebecca Beatty. So I hear a little bit of division with Elaine. So Commissioner Davis, you had something to bring up.
I think it's, first of all, I want to go back to your opening speech, Madam Chair. Beautiful, perfect, awesome. We need to try to find points of commonality. You know, most of us are only divided by a very small amount of slight disagreements if we could sit down and actually discuss things. And what I was really struck by, there are some folks who play gotcha. This government is not perfect. We're made up of humans. We make mistakes. Our staff makes mistakes. Commissioners make mistakes. There are policies that have been put in place years ago that someone finds something that we need to fix. I've been on this board for 4 years and change now, and I've seen multiple times where we have changed things to be more conservative with the library system. We've been very responsive in doing that. What really bothers me is the gotcha culture, the grandstanding on video, the making a career out of being disruptive and tearing things down versus, you know, this original controversy could have been solved at the staff level. There's a way for that. If you find something you don't like in the library system, you go to the front desk. If they are not responsive, then you ask to see their boss. If they're not responsive, you ask to see their boss. There is paperwork that you can fill out for anything. If you go through the system, it actually works pretty well. So I just want us all to work together and have a safe place in the library system for everyone to find what they need, and parents are in charge. And so I do believe that the 4 that we're talking about right now, Lorraine, Justin, Katie, and Mr. Campbell.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion by the board? If not, I'm going to open it up to the public. Anybody wishing to address the public on the motion?
I am Gil Phelan. I think the 3 who are on there are very good, and I would vote for John Labriola as well. You know what shocks me here today, though? I have to say I'm rather shocked. In the past, we've had this whole room filled with yellow shirts. It was like kind of a cult thing. There was nobody up here today for the weird side today. What's happened? You know, I thought this whole place was going to be filled with controversy, and every person up here was conservatively minded. So I think that's miraculous, actually. And I don't know, you're not giving the whole story about Elaine. I'm not sure why she didn't read a book, but I would have to ask, you know, my wife is from Costa Rica, and her culture is very innocent. And some of the stuff that I've read in your books, I would not let my wife read. I did not want that stuff in her brain, okay, because it's not in there now, okay? And I think as a good Christian could take a book, and if you know what's in that book, to force yourself to read that, I don't quite agree with that. Okay, you can throw that thing out and know that you've done the right thing. So that's just for Elaine, because I know she's a very nice lady, and I think there's more of a reason why she didn't read the book than she was just trying to be callous about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not wanting to be critical, but everybody I know here that's conservative, which is 99% of the people that spoke, are here because John Labriola got active in his local community and called us. It sounds like you guys are taking the path of least resistance. Let's not forget this country was started by rebellious people who rebelled against the government. But it seems like I think if we took a hand count of the audience today, John Labriola would be on that board. But you guys seem like you're taking the path of least resistance, and that's a cowardly way to do government. Thank you.
For the record, can I please get him?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Could you give us your name for the record?
Jeffrey Burke.
Thank you.
Margaret Martis, and I completely agree with what Jeffrey Burke just said, that so many of us stood up here and said that we wanted John Labriola nominated and hopefully appointed. And from what I heard from the board, you're not listening to us, and you should be listening to us. And I think our opinion counts. That's why we showed up. And you should take account of what we are saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori Pettengill from Homosassa. Truth and consensus are two very different things. If you're going with consensus and not truth, it's really sad. There was a great pope, Pope Benedict, that said, truth is not determined by a majority vote. The truth is that John Labriola helped clean out a very corrupted library for children. Thank you very much.
Carla Andridge. And I have to say, I wouldn't be here without John Labriola. He's the one that emails me, and I've seen him at different churches and other functions. Yeah, he was at the shelter that I was at during that last hurricane. And he made a point of talking to everybody. He's very personable. And although I love that idea of no controversy, because I'm working on that in my life, watch out for people and drama. I don't want it. But, yeah, please consider him. It's true. But I bet a lot of us are here because of him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Jones, Western Pine Courts, Inverness. I'm in favor of John also. I've talked to him many times. I've seen him at many, many gatherings that we've had. He's very supportive, very concerned. And I think you really ought to consider John. He's very active. He participates. He's willing to read things. I see that about him. But I'm a little bit concerned about when the director of the library spoke. I believe that was his title, director. I'm concerned about some of the procedures, as you, Ms. Janet, you brought up. It just seems like it's not really clear. That, in other words, what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, a child can walk in and proclaim a certain age, and walk out with a inappropriate book for it. I mean, it's just, I don't see the safeguard there. I didn't hear that. And I think maybe, I would hope you would agree with that, but thank you very much here.
Thank you.
Glenn Hagenbach. One thing, I am fairly new to the area. One of the first people I met was John Laviola. Now, I've talked to John on a number of occasions. I don't agree with him on everything. But he's the one who reached out and got me involved in coming to commissioners' meetings. I mean, and as far as I'm concerned, anyone who can help foster civic involvement is someone that should be considered favorably. On another note, some of these books that have been argued about, if I couldn't stand and read them out loud to this meeting, they should not be in the library for children. The other thing is, I don't want to see sexualization of our children, heterosexual or homosexual. It's not the place for it, not at that age. That's just not the place and not the venue. There's so many more important things we need to be instilling in our youth. Going back to Franklin's comments, morals and values. These are the foundations of our society. Yes, we were founded by a very rebellious people, but they rebelled on the fact that basic principles were being ignored and violated. Our children need to know what those basic principles and values are so that they can grow up to be good citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Hoing. I just want to say I also support John Labriola. He's been an avid fighter for protecting the innocence of children and fighting against this sexualization. So I need you to consider this when selecting your nominees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Joanne Messina. I want to thank the commissioners and the councilwoman for their thoughtful deliberations today, their consideration not just of the public comments today, but of the many emails and phone calls they've indicated that they've received. And I speak in favor of your motion based on your thoughtfulness and consideration of each applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the public?
Rosemary Nilles, Inverness again. I also speak in favor of your nominations, and it is admirable that a group of people are here to represent one candidate, but I also would state and believe that that candidate does not reflect the entire community. That candidate has been very divisive and is not reflective of the wide variety and diversity of our citizens and our people. I would just like to add one other thing that maybe rubbed me the wrong way, and that is nominations shouldn't be considered based on their which party they're registered. I don't think that's the test. Thanks.
Thank you.
Roberta Schoaf. After hearing all the other people in this room, it seems they're all in favor of considering John, hoping you'll consider John Labrioli as a contestant in this. I'm not a very good speaker.
You're doing fine.
But I also am a friend of John's and help him on things, and I think his application should be considered along with everyone else instead of just the ones you hear about or the ones you want and you don't want. You just throw them aside. So please consider John Labriella.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Tybus, Beverly Hills. I wrote this out. I'm going to try to read it. I couldn't bring my purse in, and my glasses are in it. I'm here today simply to urge you, the county commissioners, once again, to carefully appoint members to the Library Advisory Board who have proven to us that they are concerned with the values our Citrus County children are taught and how this may be presented in our county's library system. Our knowledge, I heard intelligence mentioned, our knowledge and degrees are only of value if true wisdom is applied to our decisions and our lifestyles. I would encourage you today to reappoint Eileen Clyde and Justin Strickland, and also John Labriola for one of the seats. These persons have proven to put the children's concerns as a priority to the children's futures and our community's futures as well. May your appointment reflect true wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, could we get your name for the record and a green card? Is there anyone else wishing to address the public? If not, I'm going to close it to the public. Board?
Well, Madam Chair, I want people to understand, I'm new to the board, but for hiring someone to be an advisor, I looked at what experience they had from life, not what party they were in. I could care less. Not anything except where they lived, because we need a rounded board. We need to know what's going on, all different areas of the county. Life experiences, and when I looked at them, that was why I'm willing to go with Mr. Strickland and Mrs. Benefield, Myers, and Campbell, and those were my original choices. And after hearing what the other board members had to say, I think they agree with me. We are trying to get a board that is well-rounded and well-experienced, not just tunnel vision. And that's what, I feel people need to realize. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm only going to make one last comment. We need parent involvement. If kids are showing up at the libraries without their parents, shame on the parents. Because they can go to Amazon, online, they can go to the bookstores, they can get this material just about anywhere they want to get it. But we need parents to be involved, not only at the libraries, at school, and at home. If we went back to the days where parents sat down and ate dinner with their kids and found out what went on in their day, it'd be a much better world that we live in. Anyway, all right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Chair.
Aye.
Any opposed? Were you going to?
Chair,
Yes.
that was me. I just wanted clarification before we did that because it was in a conversational status, so I wanted to confirm the motion before we.
We had a motion on the floor to re-elect Lorraine Benfield, Justin Strickland, and appoint Reese Campbell and Katie Myers.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Madam Chair, you forgot TikTok. more dangerous than almost anything.
Oh.
Talk about sexualization of children.
Well, we do have one last open to the public, if anyone wants to speak. You have to come to the podium.
I haven't been to one of these meetings in many years, but, and I might not be allowed to come back, but,
They're always.
you know, I might have a misunderstanding here, but you're supposed to represent the people, not what you feel and what you think. And the majority of the people that's here, the majority of this county is conservative, Republican, family values. I'm going to make sure that next voting time, everybody knows how you guys voted. Because you're supposed to represent the people, not your own opinions. And it was clear today, majority of the people that showed up, that are active, that really care about this subject, that were friends, was wanting John Labriola on there, and nobody supported him. So, you know, I'm just very saddened by what I'm seeing here, because you're not representing what the people of this county want. You're representing what you feel, what you want, and what your philosophy is. And it's a middle of the road philosophy. Let's try to straddle the fence, make everybody happy, but we're the ones that pay your paycheck. And it's refreshing to see a young man out here in the community that is passionate about what he believes. He's not perfect, but I can tell you there's many times I called the Board of County Commissioners in the course of doing business when I never got a return phone call, even after repeated calls. You're supposed to represent us, not yourself. And I don't feel like that happened here today, and I'm very saddened by it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, for the record, his name.
Oh, sir, could we get your name one more time for the record?
Jeffrey Burke.
Thank you.
Carla Andrich again from Hernando. I just want to thank you all. It was really interesting to be a part of this, and I felt comfortable, and I felt that you did acknowledge us. And my question is, how many seats are open? Or how many total seats are there for the advisory board?
Well, there were 3 up for reelection, and we had 1 vacancy.
That's it, yeah.
So there
4.
were a total of 4.
All right, thank you very much.
Margaret Martis again, and I agree with what Jeffrey Burke also said. You represent us, and you didn't represent us. You're supposed to. You didn't listen to us. And like Jeffrey Burke also said, I will be making sure that none of my friends, family, and acquaintances vote you guys back on for not listening to us, that we're supposed to. As Jeffrey said, we pay your paycheck. You don't do anything for us when we ask you, you're not going to get our votes next time.
Commissioners, of all the names that I heard mentioned in consideration, it was John Labriola. I didn't hear any other name, but everyone that came up and spoke for him. I don't believe he's so much controversial. I believe he cares. And because he cares, that can, and that can be controversial to some people. But so showing a concern and showing care is not wrong. And he cares. I see it in him. He's texts me, email me about meetings. He texts you and emails you about other things. He keeps you informed. That's a good board member when he does that. And I thank you very much here. You have a nice day.
Thank you.
Glenn Hagenbach again. I appreciate what you said about looking at the people and their backgrounds and everything. Are their resumes posted anywhere?
They are online and with the backup agenda materials.
They are? Okay, I did not see them online. So, but that would help if we knew the backgrounds that people were talking about.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
thank you.
Last call. We are adjourned.